Firstly, I think we must establish that most of Britain's security relationships are bilateral deals. That means that we work with member states and countries outside of the EU. In fact, our biggest intelligence and security relationships are called with the Five Eyes. Those are countries like New Zealand, Canada, the United States, countries outside of the EU. But the EU is undermining our own security. And you don't have to take my word for it, take the EU's own border agency. It admits that actually its loose border policy has meant that terrorists have been able to get into the EU, it has led to an increase in the false use of immigration documents, and it's put increased pressure on Calais. It's allowed guns to be smuggled freely. And the problem is that even though that is undermining our security, those in Brussels think that they don't mind because, importantly to them, more Europe and a free country where all of those borders are knocked down is more important to them. And that's quite troubling because these guys have an increasing power on our security. And they have ambitions for a EU army. Despite what the Remain campaign has said, there has consistently been a drive towards creating a single European defence force. That undermines our membership of NATO. NATO is actually the body that has kept peace in Europe for the last 60 years. It is American presence in Germany and British presence in Germany that kept us safe during the Cold War. It is NATO which intervened in the major conflicts in the Balkans. And it's important that we realise that if we vote leave, none of that will stop. We're still one of the largest military powers in the UK. We are still the most intelligence power in the EU. Often the European arrest warrant is cited as a great reason to stay in the EU. Well, firstly, the European arrest warrant is used with countries outside of the EU. Also, there's a lot of questions about whether it's actually judicially legitimate. There are some cases where there have been some extreme travesties of justice using the European arrest warrant. But also, let's not forget, we don't need to be part of the European arrest warrant to bring suspects back. Perfect example was that the person recently involved in the quite famous EastEnders case, we brought him back quicker than we would have brought him through the European arrest warrant when we were bringing him back from Africa. Britain can cooperate across the world without having to sign up to a system which means that we hand more power and more control to EU judges rather than keeping that power and that control back in UK courts. The fact that if we vote leave, that the idea that the French would somehow put their own citizens at risk by stopping to cooperate with intelligence data is absurd. It's the kind of thing that a French politician would never get away with at home. It's the kind of rhetoric they might deploy, but we should challenge that. I think that Britain would be safer outside of the EU. We wouldn't be subject to the European Court of Justice, which has made decisions which has allowed terrorists to stay in the UK when the UK government have wanted to get rid of them. It wouldn't mean that we are subject to the danger of the free movement and how that has brought terrorism to our door. And it also means that in terms of our place in the world, it would not be undermined. Because let's not forget, the EU even wants to remove our space at the UN Security Council. Britain is strong outside the world. It can cooperate with its European partners, but we don't need Brussels and in particular EU judges undermining our security in every single one of the rulings that they do.